Hi, Sparkles, and welcome back to Intuitive Wisdom. This is episode 246, the July episode of our monthly Insight series with my co-host, Christina Slaback. We're moving out of the energy of June and stepping into the power of July. And this is genuinely one of my favorite times of year because it holds so much potential if you're willing to work with it and allow. This episode is all about reflection, manifestation, and grounding your growth in the process. We're looking at where you've been with honest, compassionate eyes and asking the question, how will it feel to get what you want? And what are all the ways it could come to you? Because the universe cannot respond if you don't move. Christina shares about her recent deep dive into astrology, and we also talk about half-year rituals, owning your gifts, and where you might be choosing realistic when you could be choosing brave. Oh, and stay to the end. Christina's card pull is once again spot on. Here we go. I'm K. Margaret Solorio, certified Angel Reiki Master, intuitive guide, author of Make Ease Your Vibe, and creator of the Home Frequency Reset. This is Intuitive Wisdom, where we explore the connection between energy, intuition, spirituality, and the spaces we live in, so you can create more peace, clarity, and delicious ease in your home, your heart, and your life. Hello, Christina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, too. I was thinking about getting together today and recording this, and what came up for me was that image of the volcano and all the potential power that has come up in conversation multiple times over the past month. And just the idea of, one, I love when we flip the script on something, like when I meet somebody who's been called a bad name and makes that name their mantra in a positive way, like has been able to completely flip it. And volcano for me has always been so destructive and scary. And then to think of it this month, I was like, no, potential power and awesomeness and like the actual force that creates the earth we live on and all these positive things has been inspirational.
I really like that reframe that you did. And I think that we did talk a little bit about it last month too, but that idea of something that we can see as destructive. And you had said at the end, like, it's something that makes the earth that we're living on, like makes all of the stuff. And it's bringing to mind the whole concept of like how when it forms and it has all of it, that ash and that lava, when it hardens and turns into the soil, like it's very, very fertile. And then you get these really lush, like beautiful, abundant jungle areas. And that it's a whole process. And I think that this is something that we touch on a lot. This is something that I personally come back to all the time. And it's that inner faith and inner trust in the process. And I think that when you were talking about flipping the script, I think that that's something that is really great to be able to do just in our regular everyday lives too. And I see some people being like, oh, I'm getting really delulu, or I'm getting, I'm just thinking really delulu about everything. And when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, like that makes sense. And the concept behind it is like, just get really delusional about how things are going to be, like almost getting out of how the everyday is in your life and just thinking in like, yes, I am the luckiest person here. I am like bringing all these things, like all of these things are working out for me. And I think that that's great, but I also think that that can create that like cognitive dissonance where it's like, yeah, I'm saying these things, or I'm saying these affirmations, or I'm talking about this stuff, but it doesn't feel like that in my real life sometimes. It feels like this is a challenge that I have here. But I think that if we can marry it into something that does resonate and that does make sense for us. So, for instance, having something not go the way that you want it to, or you get stuck in traffic, or you do whatever, and just thinking like, yeah, how could this be for my greater good? Like, how could me getting stuck at this red light when I am late for work already, how could that have been for my greater good? How could this project that I thought was going to go a certain way, or this offer that I was sending out and I didn't get the response that I wanted, how could that actually be setting me up for something even better? And the reframe of like, huh, I wonder what this is going to look like. Like, what's the bigger story here? Because there's always something bigger. And I think we get so
Mm,
caught in the weeds
that's a really good
that,
point.
yeah, like being able to just have that inner trust of like, my life is working out exactly as it should be. And I am just going to embrace all of this. And the more that I lean into that trust, that faith, that being delusional, if that's what works for you, like, how can I bring in more of that? And looking on that positive side and moving into like, I can see this volcano as super destructive in my life, or I can see it as bringing in so much more. And this is just the chaos that comes first.
Yes, and there's so much hope. I love what you said about the volcano creating or the fire creating this fertile ground for change. I think, like you said, a lot of us, I mean, we're human. We all go through obstacles, but also the growth. And we focus a lot. I know we both do a lot on personal development and this constant idea of, okay, how can I do something a little better? How can I be better? How can I enjoy more? I feel like there's always this kind of piece of expansion. And with that growth comes either you walk right up to your resistance or there's an obstacle or, there's always something. And I think that fertile ground reminder is so hopeful that you're like laying the groundwork, for more.
Yeah. And I think too, like this is a really great time of year to have those reflections too, because like we're just coming off summer solstice. It is
Yay.
this time of year. It's beautiful, right? It's these longer days. It's all of this greatness. And
Ooh, I got to
yeah,
interrupt.
yeah.
Sorry, you were right mid sentence. I just learned yesterday that solstice literally translates from Latin to sun stands still. So you were talking about
Oh,
reflecting because it looks in the sky as if it stands still and then kind of reverses direction after the
yeah.
solstice. But that when you said reflecting, I was like, oh yeah, you kind of the sun itself feels like it's taking a pause in the sky,
I love that. I
right?
love that. Yeah. And I think that this is a great time for manifesting things. It's a great time for bringing in new intentions. But at the
Mm.
same time, it's also a really good chance to take a look at with really truthful, honest, compassionate eyes on what you've been growing. I
Mm.
think that sometimes when we get into that manifestation and it's just focusing on all the things I want to bring in that still aren't here, but taking a minute too to just be like, these are all the things that I have been growing, that have been growing, and I'm going to appreciate them because I've had 6 months since, the winter solstice and that standstill and that pause and like right before the start of the year to look and see and notice. And if things aren't working out the way that I think that they should be in my head, how can I notice and reflect on that in terms of like, what am what is actually stopping me? Because if I'm not doing the things that I think that I should be, is that because maybe they're not what I actually want? Like look at where my actions are and see if the disconnect is between the actual actions themselves and I'm just not doing the things that I really, really know I need to and I really desire to. And how can I create more of that space in my everyday? Or are these things just not actually aligned with who I am? And so my actions, I can't get them to fall in line because that's not actually what I'm desiring anymore. And I think this is a really good time to be able to go through and say, like, what are the things that I really want? What have I learned in these last 6 months? How have I grown? How have I changed? And then take that information and bring it in so that you can adjust and you can change up what you're doing and you can really build on the things that are lighting you up now rather than like trying to reincorporate dusty goals that maybe just don't feel juicy anymore.
That's fantastic alliteration. Or what's the right word? Um, Visualization of those terms. I love that you remind us to celebrate because I think you're right. Especially when we're working on manifesting, it's so easy to blast past everything and forget to like turn around and go, whew, look at like me now versus me 6 months ago, different
Mhm.
person. That's a big deal. And to enjoy that and to embrace that and to keep going with it. in mind and be very intentional and conscious of that, I really appreciate it. And I thought of you also this week. I'm reading a book that reminded me about thinking about the how do I say that? Like the experiential, the feeling that you get from your goals. So like it talks about happiness allocation and like here's what you want. That's how you see it yourself getting to that feeling, but reverse engineering kind of from the feeling and going, what are other ways that you can fulfill that and get there, and not just the one that seems obvious, like, yeah, flipping it to the experience. And I think that's a really nice perspective and something else. So you remind us of regularly that not just to celebrate, but to be open to opportunity, because what we want is like what's available to us is so much bigger, but also what we want when we align with our values is how we want to feel and what we're creating, and not just what we want it to look like.
Yeah, and that's when it'll actually feel really good. That's when
Not
that
to mention,
growth.
that's the point.
Yes. Yeah, but that's when like that growth and that resistance feels good. It feels good to push through resistance when it's aligned. It doesn't feel good to push
Amen.
through resistance when it does not, when it's not where we're actually wanting to go. And when you were talking, it reminded me of something that one of my clients had shared with me. And she was talking about how she was in a group and somebody had said, that the universe can't respond if you don't move. And it can't catch you if you don't try to fly. If you don't take that chance and that fall. And she said it a little bit more eloquently. But it just got me thinking, like, that's it. So often we get stuck in, or I can find myself, and I'm sure that other people can, because there's other people that I talk to that can, find themselves stuck in this loop of, I need to know more. I need to be more certain. I need to have this things more figured out. I need to get this more fleshed out, and then I'll be ready. And it's just that reminder to step back and say, no, I need to move now. I need to move from here. And then I get that information. And then I do get that feedback. And then I can get more clarity. And being able to like have that trust that things are going to work out in whatever way it is, whether that is more information, whether that is more contrast and no, actually, this is not what I want. If this is more information, I'm like, this is exactly the opportunity that I need, but I need to put myself out there into situations where I can bring in more of that. If I'm sitting here at home, just manifesting my little heart out and visualizing and do all the things, but I'm never taking action. I'm never moving. I'm never getting myself in different places or into new spaces to be able to experience things differently. I'm not going to find those opportunities. They're not just going to fall in my lap from my ceiling. So I need to be able to experience and appreciate and share from this space of imperfection and possibly not in clarity all the time, this murkiness. And that's
Definitely,
what's going to resonate.
Yes, that resonates a lot with me, but surely with everyone else. It is not clear. And I love that idea of, choose left instead of right every time just to get a different perspective. But yeah, there's a lot going on. So there's so much grounding and being reminded of the process and the opportunity and the reflection and the celebration. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I feel like recently I have been diving a little bit more into, I did my solar return chart and I just had it like go through and do that. Okay. So it's going to be my birthday. So solar return is like on the year, and then you can kind of look with your natal chart and then see what the transits are for the year coming and kind of get an idea of where focus areas might be or where opportunities or challenges might be.
And forgive me, this is astrology or human design?
Astrology.
Okay.
So my background of just in this is I do a lot of the human design stuff and I really enjoy all of that. But then I've been looking into some of this astrology stuff and just digging more into like, what does this mean? And what does that mean? And because I'm super curious and because I love all of this stuff and I just like the human nature part of it, really enjoy the research, really enjoy it. Also, I can get really stuck in the research and into the intellectualization of it all and like trying to figure it out. But what I've been learning and what I've been noticing as I'm doing this is
All right, Sparkles, before we get back to our conversation, there's a few things I wanted to share with you. First, we have a new testimonial from Dr. Jenny for my home energy reset. She says, working with Kay Margaret was straightforward. She gave clear and easy instructions as to how the home reset would go. She also supported me in reaffirming that there's a good energy about my home and extra steps I could take to enhance its energy as well, and told me in detail about what came up during the clearing. All in all, it was a wonderful experience. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Jenny. And Sparkles, if you've ever wondered whether the energy of your home could be affecting your mood, clarity, intuition, or overall well-being, I've created a free interactive quiz. In just a few minutes, you'll discover your home energy type and receive personalized guidance to help create more peace, alignment, and delicious ease in your home and life. And if you're ready to go deeper, I offer home frequency reset sessions where I help clear energetic clutter and realign the energy of your space so it feels more calm, supportive, and aligned with the life you want to create. You can learn more about the quiz, my home frequency reset services, and book a session by visiting my website, deliciousease.com. And if you're looking for even more inspiration, be sure to pick up a copy of my book, Make Ease Your Vibe. It's filled with practical tools, reflections, and insights to help you create more ease, trust yourself more deeply, and live with greater intention. You can find Make Ease Your Vibe on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle versions. I believe you deserve to be seen, supported, and inspired. And you deserve a home that loves you back. All right, now let's get back to the episode.
that I think that it's not the medium, because before that it was the Enneagram, and before that it was the Myers-Briggs, and before that it was all of these things. And what I think that it is that I have such curiosity. And I think the reason that these, whatever version you use, is of trying to understand our own human nature and trying to understand other people's human nature. And I think that the most powerful thing, and why for me, it doesn't necessarily matter which system you use, but I just really like to see all the different systems, is that whatever it's giving you, like this is what it is, you are reflecting. You're thinking about how that impacts you. You're thinking about, is this true or not? Is this what I want to be or not? How can I look at this and bring in the parts that I really want to bring in? Or if I don't really like this or this over here, like, how can I flip it? How can I bring in more of the things that I want? And I think for me, it's like a values exercise all the time. It's not this is my prescriptive and this is who I am. It's like, how do I choose to interpret this? How do I choose to bring in these qualities that are potentially there that I want to bring in more of? How do I choose to interpret these things that may be considered, hard aspects or whatever, that are going to be able to grow and allow me to change and develop? And I think that so much more, and this is why, like, sometimes I'll use this with my coaching clients when they're open to these different systems, is because I do think that it allows, like, that opportunity to just reflect and choose and make that intentional choice rather than just living and not noticing.
Yeah, I love it. I agree. I think, well, especially when we're learning and growing and putting ourselves in new territory, physically or mentally, to find the words to describe what you want or what you're going through or all the things is not easy. So I always say, try everything you can until you find what works for you. But I do love the few times I've gotten to interact with astrology, that reflection, that it's so on point. And even if it's past reflection or future reflection, it's just this like frame of reference and some of this language of like, oh, okay. And like you said, helps you make more conscious choice and also feel those energetic ties to everything. I think it helps me feel part of the universe and not so floating around by myself kind of feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's very accurate. I think that groundedness and that like ability to see things in a bigger lens of
Yes. That would be the
just
theme for
you and a
today. You've
part
said
of
that a
it.
few times. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It helps you step back, but in appreciation. I think, so many times, like you said, we get either in our day-to-day routine or we get in our own worlds and we figure out how to do something for ourselves and we forget that, like we think we're the only one who knows how to do it or the only one who does it this way or the only one who needs that kind of rest. And then you get that bigger perspective and it's like, oh, right. I am one of a species of billions, or I am one of like an energetic, tie to all things on this planet, or one of the universe, and the universe is literally always expanding. So why not me too? Like it just puts that different, there's so much relief, it allows you to let go of the little things, but also, like you said, ground and appreciate that you're part of something bigger.
Yeah. Um, for this time, like being at almost the midway point of the year to being at that, time of the longer days and all of those things, is there any things that you like to or um that you bring in either to your day-to-day routines, any reflections? Are there things that you want to incorporate more into your business? Anything like that that takes advantage of the separation of this like 6 months in kind of a thing?
No. Short answer is no.
Mhm.
But this year is a real energetic shift for me. It's a real transition, and everything that not everything, it just feels that way. A lot of things that I used to rely on and kind of bounce off of, I've let go. So whether that's schedule or like demanding certain things are important, or, I really just try to lead by example. I found for me, exercise, meditating, journaling, and reading every day. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be a lot. It can be
Mhm.
15 minutes of one, 5 minutes of the other, like a combo of half an hour total for the day. It doesn't have to be a lot, but if I get that in every day, much better.
Yeah.
So on a personal level, on a business side, I think right now, and you helped me get that ball rolling in the spring, is just looking for ways to keep an open mindset and
Mhm.
not fall back into what you were talking about earlier in this episode of like getting comfortable and lost in the day to day and thinking what you're doing is aligned with where you want to go. And instead, keeping that door open to possibility and going, okay, how do I keep that mindset open and
Mhm.
think good things about myself so that
Mhm.
I am a magnet for what I actually want and not this push through, think I'm supposed to be this kind of way magnet for what's not working, you
Yeah.
know? So for me, I love the reminders to reflect. This month is July is going to be 4 years for the podcast for me,
Oh,
which feels
congrats.
huge, and very exciting. And so, yeah, just the obstacles and the resistance I even this week have come across. It's that mindset piece where I find myself observing that I'm playing small and not at a bad, not trying to be bad, but like what I thought I was thinking and what I'm doing
Yeah.
is not aligned.
Yeah.
So I think that half year for me is just like, right, look how far you come, but keep keep the weather vane pointed in the right direction or the
Yeah.
direction you want.
Yeah. When you were talking about that too, it reminds me of like sometimes, and again, like having those big audacious goals or whatever they want to call them of like, I am open to anything. Like this is my thing that I'm shooting for. And it might be, whatever it is, like podcast number, whatever. Okay, so I just hit in the top 10% of the worldwide podcasts last month you did. And like that's amazing. And that wasn't maybe necessarily something that I had like strategized out or planned or anything. But also, this could just be the beginning. And just
Yes,
because
it
I'm a
does
top
feel like
10%,
that.
like it could be like, this could just like, tell me how good it can get. Show me how good it can get. Like, I'm going to be open to it being something that just seems crazy in my head right now. Because when we are working towards things, if we are working towards, and this is, again, I feel like there is nuance in all of these things, but I feel like if there is something that you are working for and you are like, okay, I'm going from 5K in a month in my business right now, I want to get to 8K. You're going to do things a little bit differently. You're going to do things, you're going to push a little bit more. You're going to do a few more things. But if you're going, I want to get from 5K to 50K in your business, you are going to change radically all the things that you're doing because that goal requires a completely different version of you. And so sometimes it can be a way to get yourself shaken up just a little bit to bring in like, what would that version of me be doing? What would that version of me be putting out there, prioritizing? How would she be spending her time? Who would she be talking to? Who are the people that maybe she thinks she's not enough for that she would be reaching out to if she was at that level? And just having that thought exercise. And again, not doing it in a way, I am all about like doing things from a sustained, stable nervous system.
Mhm.
So if those kinds of things bring in a bunch of anxiety and it's not the good kind, that's not the I'm excited kind, then pull back. But just having the exercise of just considering and looking at where you may be playing small or doing things that you think are a realistic goal. It is fantastic to have realistic goals because we are much more likely to achieve them, and then we can build on that momentum and we can keep going. So realistic goals are amazing. And also sometimes as a thought exercise, it could be good to bring in, what are these things that I just think may not be possible or would be like 5 years down the road, and just look at it and think about the only timeline that I'm putting on is my own expectations and my own thoughts of what it's going to be, because there are plenty of examples of that, plenty of examples of just moving slowly and inching up. And there are also examples of people just blowing up and going from 0 to 100, and all of a sudden their life is completely changed too.
Mm-hmm.
So using that as like guideposts of just where you want to go and what you want to bring in and where you're set at. And maybe it's like, no. I am not ready for that. I don't want to. That seems scary. That seems whatever. And that's totally valid. But I think just being able to have those check-in points so we don't it's just another version of like, don't get stuck in the day to day or don't lose sight of your values. Like, what am I even opening myself up to? And where am I maybe holding myself back just because I'm only thinking realistically?
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. I have to ask, did you get to pull a card today?
I sure did. And I did see what it was, which I think, and I didn't read the thing, I don't ever read it beforehand, but I think built on our last month. So let's just see here. All right, so we have
Power.
and it's like a thunderstorm with lightning strike. Power, mountain thunder. Like the fist of God thrusting up toward the heavens, the stark, ragged mountain holds firm as thunderbolts crash down on all sides. The sound is deafening as it echoes from mountain peak to mountain peak. Mountains represent strength, power, and permanence, as well as being a potent symbol for attaining spiritual heights as they extend into the sky toward the heavens. Thunder and lightning traditionally represent surging power, enlightenment, and revelations of divine matters. Thunder ignites our deeper self and activates our primal and deep emotions. Together, the mountain and thunder symbolize immense power, vitality, and strength. This is your time. This is the time to claim your power and step into your potential. This doesn't necessarily mean that you will be without fear. You might feel uncertain, but do it anyway. Be courageous. Let the world hear your voice. Take a stand. Stand up for yourself and for others. Share your passion. Teach from the heart. Write, and your words will have great meaning. Hold your body as if you are incredibly valiant, noble, and brave. After all, you are.
That's so beautiful. You know, it was funny. I was reminded once I went for a job interview, and there was a man and a woman across the table from me asking questions. And one of them asked if you could be a thing, like a kitchen utensil or I don't even know what would you be? And I was like, this is the silliest, this has nothing to do with the job I'm applying for. And I remember sitting there thinking for a moment, and I said mountain. And I was like, and that didn't go over well.
Wasn't what they were looking for.
It wasn't what they were looking for. No, didn't get that offer. But I just remember thinking, oh, how funny. And then to have it described, and I was like, oh, perhaps they were taken aback by the power that is the mountain that I picked the mountain. But you're right. It is such a beautiful segue from volcano potential last month into power. I'm very excited for everyone to see where this lands this month.
It's just, there's a lot of energy. It seems like there's a lot of energy going through, and just to be able to take advantage of it and really just own your gifts and move forward with confidence and be brave.
Yes. Amen. Oh, that's a great ending. All right. Well, happy birthday. Happy July.
Thank you.
Hi, Sparkles. If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little more peace, clarity, and support. I appreciate your help. To learn more about my home frequency reset services, take the free home energy type quiz, and explore my book, Make Ease Your Vibe, be sure to visit my website, deliciousease.com. That's DELICIOUSEASE.com. And remember, Sparkles, peace is possible, your intuition is trustworthy, and creating a life that feels aligned and supported starts right where you are. All the best, and see you soon.